guys, what is up? My name is Megan. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe, and welcome to today's video, which is the April round of Candyland Picks My TBR. If you are new here, hello. Basically, Candyland Picks My TBR is a TBR game inspired by the game of Candyland, where I basically spin on the little wheel that comes with Candyland and move throughout the board, and each color prompt on the board corresponds to a bookish prompt, and therefore that is how I pick my TBR. The rules are pretty simple. Basically, as I said, each color corresponds to a prompt. As you can see by the color chart, that should be right up here. And if I spin on the same color 3 times within a game, I then have to add an extra spin, as well as if I don't finish my TBR from the month prior. If you have more questions or want to watch me play the game, I will leave my playlist up in the cards for you guys. But if not, let's hop on straight into April, which April 1 is spring. I am repping all of the spring colors today because 'tis the season, you guys, and April is also a crazy release month for like so many of my most anticipated reads of the year. So this is going to be a jam-packed TBR, and I'm so excited for all of the new releases, which if you are wondering what releases I'm speaking of, you can visit my video where I talk about my 50 most anticipated releases of the year. So let's go into spin number 1. Spin number 1 brought us to Double Orange, which means a book that was released before 2024, and I feel like that is most of my bookshelf, but it's really just a prompt to get me to read things off of my physical TBR. And for that, we're adding a book which was previously on a TBR of mine, and that is That Kind of Guy by Stephanie Archer. This is the first book in a series, and it is a fake fiance scenario where everybody gets something out of it. It's set in a small town. Stephanie Archer is a Canadian author, which is why I want to read all of her books, and she's also grown quite the audience since she started publishing her books. This is indie published, and I am incredibly excited for this. The vibes of this sound fantastic. I love fake dating, I love small towns, so I think this is going to be right up my alley. Moving on to spin number 2. Spin number 2 brought us to a double purple. However, when we moved up that Candyland board, it became a free space because we fell on a candy, which is another one of the rules I forgot to mention. Everything that is pink or candy is a free space, and I love that for me. So I have 2 options for this free space. As I mentioned, April is going to be a very big release month, so my aim here is that if I'm able to get Skandar 3, so Skandar and the Chaos Cup, or I don't remember, I'll put a picture up here. How I don't remember the title of that book is beyond me, but I don't at this precise moment. If it comes in at an appropriate time for me to read it, my goal is to read it straight away. It comes out April 25th, and my copy's from Waterstone, so I'm not holding out hope. If that does not arrive, however, I have like a substitute choice where I will be reading Fireborn, Phoenix, and the Frost Palace, which is the second book in the Fireborn series by Aisling Fowler. I've spoken of this series a lot. I have a review for the first book if you're interested. This is like a middle grade, sort of Viking, cold weather inspired book, and we follow a main character named 12 on her journey into like becoming part of her community and also saving them from beasts and so many other things. The first book was phenomenal. Again, I highly recommend you checking out my review if it sounds like something that could be up your alley. But the third book for this is actually coming out at the end of March, so I would need to get a move on so that I can finally get to book 3, and I believe what is the conclusion of this series. Moving on to spin number 3. Spin number 3 brought us to a free space because we fell on pink, and I am reserving this free space for a book that actually comes out on the 2nd of April, and that is The Rule Book by Sarah Adams, which is, I guess, a companion novel to the cheat sheet, which I read the cheat sheet a few years back and I was obsessed with it. I loved the cheat sheet so much, and so I've been highly anticipating this ever since she mentioned she would be making more books in this world, and it comes out April 2nd. These are like sports romances. The first one was between a ballerina and a football player that were best friends. I cannot wait to see the dynamic she creates in the second book. Most of Sarah Adams' books are closed doors, so there's no spice in them, but I think some of her more recent novels are starting to have a little bit of spice, so I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I can tell you I'm going to read it sitting in my garden when it's nice out, and I couldn't be more excited. Moving on to spin number 4. Spin number 4 brought us to Green, which is a random prompt, and so the prompt I actually picked out is to read a book for the current season, which is very exciting because spring and summer are my seasons. So again, I have two choices here because my first choice is A Funny Story by Emily Henry, which comes out again on April 25th. My two most anticipated releases of the year come out at the same time. They do every single year apparently. So that is what I want to read, and I do associate Emily Henry with spring because all of her books release around this time of year and I always read them like as soon as I get them, and therefore it's spring vibes to me, and most of her books take place in the spring or summer, which is also fitting for this prompt. But if this does not get to me in time, I will be swapping it out for the second book in the series by Stephanie Archer, which is The Wrong Mr. Right by Stephanie Archer. Again, these are all dual perspective small town romances, and this one is about a girl who's trying to like get herself more out there. She's very shy. She's kind of like a shy bookworm type, and she has this crush on this guy, but in order to be able to like make a move, I guess, she asks the help of this boy who is like a surfer. He's very outgoing, and I'm assuming they each get something out of this arrangement as well, but just like the cover of this kind of fits my vibe. It's one of my favorite covers of all time, and I like need to read this book. Again, this is something that's been on TBRs before, so we're bringing it back, baby. Moving on to spin number 5. Spin number 5 brought us to a double orange, so if we fall on one more orange, then we need to add a spin. I don't know why that all sounded so weird. I'm so sorry for talking strangely. But again, orange is before 2024, and for this I'm going with another middle grade book which is very reflective, and that is the Midnight Orchestra, which is the second book in the Mistwick School series. I have read the first one in March and I absolutely was obsessed with it. I need to get the audiobook for this one as well because they are fantastic audiobooks. If you haven't heard me speak of this series, the first book is the Mistwick School of Musicraft, and essentially it follows a main character who, in the world where she lives, music is magic, and so the orchestras and people who play music are like creators of magic, and there's this school where like the top children who play instruments, and that is like all instruments combined, get to go to the school to learn about their magic and create magic basically, and hone in on their music skills. And our main character is actually sent there, so it's kind of like a school setting. She doesn't really belong there at first, but then you learn about her powers, and it's an incredible story. I highly recommend, and so I wanted to read the sequel as soon as possible so the story stays fresh in my little noggin. Moving on to what should be our last spin. Our last spin fell on double green, so we are all in the clear for this month. We will be stopping at 6 spins. And so green, as I mentioned before, you take a prompt out of the prompt jar, and for this one I picked sports. So I do have 2 options for these. Both are manga. I might end up reading both of them. The first one is the Blue Lock. Technically I'm holding up volume 8, but will I have the self-control to not read this straight away because I'm still in the middle, well not middle, but like end of March when filming this. So if not, it could be any other volume of Blue Lock if I acquire 9, 10, or 11. I don't currently have them. If I don't, and I've read volume 8, I will be moving on to Haiku volume 1. This is a volleyball sports manga, and again, volume 1, so it's my first foray into this one, but it counts because it's sports. I might read multiple volumes if it gets to it, but I own the first one only of this. So, these are my option for sports, which concludes my TBR, which I feel like is a small, I shouldn't be saying that, small TBR when it comes to Candyland, but we know me, I'm probably gonna move things around, want to add books, want to subtract books from my TBR, and like, there's a lot, and when I say a lot of new releases, I mean a lot of new releases. In the month of April, we have some from Holly Jackson, we have some cozy fantasies coming out, we have some more romance, we have Abby Jimenez, there's just so many. Again, if you want to hear more about them, go look at that video. But all in all, it's a pretty solid TBR, I think. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this, plus the rule book by Sarah Adams. It's a great way to kick off spring. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Bye guys, happy reading.